And we are recording.
All right, the Improvement and Service Committee will come to order at the March 12th meeting. And we'll do a roll call. Alder Presley, are you here?
Present.
Yes, he's here. All right. Alder Eck.
I'm
All
here.
right, here. We missing anybody? Alder Lee. I'm here. All right.
He's
I'm
become a
here.
comedian.
You're all here.
He is looking for a new job after
I
this.
am.
That's true.
After waiting for that Packer workout. I am called back. I think they were just kidding. Making
the
me wonder if
Bears.
he was serious now. You know? I don't know. Approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve, Alder Presley, second by Alder Delay. Any changes? Those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alder Delay, second by Alder Eck. Any changes? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes. Regular business. Number one, consideration of possible action on request by Black Saddle, tenant at 201 North Washington Street, to install a wall-mounted sign and awning over the right-of-way subject to the execution of the hold harmless agreement and submittal of appropriate insurance, and to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the agreement.
So pretty straightforward. We have a business downtown that's looking to install a sign. Sign projects over the right-of-way, requires a revocable occupancy permit. We have issued these countless times in the past. City staff is in support of doing this. However, one of the things I did want to make the committee aware of is with a couple of these revocable occupancy permits that have come forward in recent times, and in light of a communication that was submitted by Alder Johnson to help streamline that process, we did take a dig into the ordinance and have determined that revocable occupancy permits actually do not need to come before this committee any longer. They are, under ordinance, they are allowed to be executed at a staff level, and if staff denies a permit, then the appeal would come to INS. What we will be doing, probably starting at the next meeting, is we're going to add some verbiage to the existing ordinance to make it crystal clear that this applies to revocable occupancy permits as well. So just to clean that up and help clean up some of the committee agendas, so you guys don't have to deal with routine procedural matters. So staff recommends approval of this one, and hopefully this may be the last one you have to deal with.
All right. Oh, sorry. It's you.
No.
You're the
No, I
chair.
thought you were
I'm like,
gonna make
thank
a
you.
motion.
Yeah, no. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alder Eck, second by Alder Delay to approve. Would they appear then under the kind of the reports of action taken, something like that?
If the committee desires that, we could do it. Otherwise, we could just dispose of these things, and if they're routine matters of action, like any other excavation or obstruction permit, we'll just
Okay,
deal with them
perfect.
at
I
staff
don't know,
level.
that's my preference.
Yeah, because if there was any issues with it, then they would come back before
Correct.
us.
All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. 2, consideration of possible action on request by Department of Public Works to award contract ramps 225 Pine Street ramp PT repairs at a staff level and report the award at the next INS meeting.
Okay, this is an annual project we do with repairs to the Pine Street ramp. The PT is a post-tensioning tendon, so real brief engineering on it. It's precast concrete, and there's cables inside of it. And after the concrete's in place, you tighten those cables. It helps put a little bit of a bow in the concrete member, which ensures that the entire concrete member winds up in compression, which concrete is strong in compression, very weak in tension. So the cable carries the tension, and you induce a condition that forces most of the concrete into compression. Over time, those cables, if salt gets in there, they can erode, weaken, or sometimes when we're doing our regular ramp repairs, they're inadvertently cut through. So you have to splice the cables back together and retension them. So this is an annual contract that we do just to help increase the longevity of our ramp. Due to when that contract is coming in and our meeting schedule, which is being impacted both by the election that's coming up, which is why we don't meet again until the 4th of April. Staff didn't want to hold off on the award of that contract. We do have the money set aside within our capital improvement program. Obviously, we're not going to award it at a staff level if it comes in above what we can afford to do. So staff is recommending or requesting the ability to award that at a staff level and report out at the next meeting.
Questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Alder Eck, second by Alder Delay. Any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes. Number 3, consideration of possible action on request by Department of Public Works to approve the award of contracts ramp 125 parking ramp repairs to Western Construction Group in the amount of $598,150.
We have included in your packet a summary of the bids that were received for this project. Bids were opened on the 4th, last Tuesday. 6 bids received, which on a parking ramp repair contract is unheard of. So great interest in the project. Western Construction Group was the low responsible bidder, so staff does recommend award to Western Construction Group in the amount of $598,150.
Close race.
Yeah, tight there.
In some, but then a really wide race in others.
Any questions? Motions?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Alder Delay to approve.
Second.
Second by Alder Presley. Those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I have to let Alder Presley spend some money tonight, because last
That's
time,
right, you're
remember,
a
I
big
was the
spender. Usually.
a big spender.
All right, number 4, consideration with possible action on request by Department of Public Works to approve the award of contract Bridge 125 7th Street Bridge, P05718 rehabilitation by Zenith Tech, Inc., in the amount of $173,419.20.
Okay, so the 7th Street Bridge was constructed in 1968, so it's starting to show its age. Concrete wearing surface has full-length longitudinal cracks at most of the beam connections. The approaches are settling and causing damage to the edge of the deck. So what we're proposing is a rehab that's a concrete overlay of the bridge deck and replacement of the approaches. This will extend the usable life of the structure and improve the driving conditions. We had this project quoted in our capital improvement program at a anticipated cost of $125,000. The actual low bid came in at $173,419.20. We do have fund balance in our bridge projects in '24 that came in under, so we do have the balance available to complete the work, and staff recommends award to Zenith Tech in the amount of $173,419.20.
Questions?
So on 7th Street, where on 7th Street is that?
Kind of right behind Broadway, or what used to be Broadway Ford.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
what I
it's
was
the
thinking,
7th
so
Street,
that's in my
7th Street
district.
Bridge over Beaver Dam Creek.
So we're gonna have another
Leading up to
road-
Kennedy School.
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna have another closing then, I'm assuming, the road closed.
Right.
Well, because we had the the bridge project on
Chantel.
Chantel and
Yep.
Yep.
over on Mason. Okay, all right.
If there's a bright side, your bridges are getting repaired.
I will point that out. I will point that out, but thank you. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Alder Eck.
Second.
Second by Alder Presley. Any questions? Those in favor?
What's the time frame on something like this?
It should be done by, I'm guessing, about August.
Okay.
Yeah, thereabout.
Oh, that new school going in.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That passes. Number 5, consideration with possible action on request by Department of Public Works to approve the award of Sewers 125 Finger Road Sanitary Sewer and Water Main to Peters Concrete Company in the amount of $422,866.55.
This is a project to extend sanitary sewer and water main down Finger Road. We're picking up in front of the Carnivore project and running the sanitary down as far as what we need. It actually will go all the way down to Northview Road, the city limits. And this will help service the Drop Forge project and also provide sanitary sewer service to the south half, so that'll open all of that land up for future development. This is a TID-funded project, so we do have the funding in place for it. 9 contractors bid. So we had great response on this. The numbers we received were also similarly very, very competitive numbers. So we're very happy with the response to the bidding. Peters Concrete Company does a lot of work for us, both in concrete and in utility work. So we're very happy to have them as a low responsive bidder. And staff recommends award as shown.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Approved by Alder Eck, second by Alder Delay. Questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
All right, if that carries. 6, report of actions taken by Department of Public Works. We have some sidewalk builders and some tree and brush trimmers. Read them at your leisure. Any questions on those?
There's motion to receive and place on file.
Motion by
Second.
Alder Eck, second by Alder Delay to receive and place on file. Those in favor?
Aye.
That carries. Director's report.
Okay, just a couple of things for you tonight. I'm sure you've all heard me gush about my staff in the past and what a great job they do. We each year bring both the MS4 permit, which we had at our last meeting, and then we also bring in the ECMAR regarding the sanitary sewer. Unfortunately, we did have a sanitary sewer discharge last week. During the period of high rain, we were notified that we had some basements backing up in the Eliza Goodell area. So that's the low area that flooded in 2019 along the East River. Staff went and responded to it. When we started doing some maintenance work on the sanitary main, the problem alleviated itself very quickly. The levels went down. We did have to pump a couple of basements out. But we did have discharge to the surface that came out of the manholes. Staff investigated, and it turns out that the line that was impacted by excessive roots, so root intrusion into the line caused a backup. It's the one of the lines that we had identified for root treatment in 2025. It backed up 3 months before we were due to go out there and do the maintenance to clear the roots out on it. So sometimes they come back and bite you. So we just wanted to let you know that we did have an SSO, we have responded to it, we did appropriately notify DNR, and everybody's on board with what's going on. So we're all good there. It's just unfortunate that we had one, especially on a line that we had identified. It happened before we got a chance to take care of the mitigative efforts that we had planned for it anyway. Director Ditch, I had indicated to you during Parks meeting that they've been spending a lot of time actively planning for the event that they have, or the events that they have planned for Draft Week. Similarly, DPW staff has been extremely involved with draft planning, so especially on the transportation traffic management front, and then also with some efforts regarding site security and vehicle mitigation efforts to protect pedestrians in the zone. So I had 5 hours worth of draft related meetings today alone. So it's quite a bit of work we're doing over there. I am happy to report. I think you heard some pretty good news from the team and from the NFL last week at the Common Council meeting. In speaking just on our traffic management component, the representative from C3 that we are working with told us that we are further ahead right now as far as traffic management and how to direct traffic around. Everything that's involved in the traffic management portion of that, he said we are further ahead right now, 2 months ahead of draft day, than Detroit was the week before the draft. So we've got our traffic management pretty well nailed down. It's been a lot of work. There's been some really, really good cooperation between our staff, the Village of Ashwaubenon, Brown County Highway Department, the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, the Wisconsin State Patrol, and then our partners representing the NFL and the draft. So there's been a lot of good collaboration there. The NFL comes in with kind of an overall game plan, but not knowing the logistics of the area, and that's where we get involved. That, hey, that sounds great on paper, but you don't know the streets around here. We think this would work better. And those have been some very, very productive meetings. So we've been meeting weekly for about 2 months on it. And like I said, we're pretty well nailed down. We were actually, we're anticipating a lot of charter buses. Okay, so 2 weeks ago, Discover Green Bay had told us that their current count on charter buses was like 40 coming in on Thursday for the draft. As of today, it's 152 on Thursday. So being able to handle 152 charter buses plus everything else that's coming. When we were talking 2 weeks ago, we said, okay, the charter bus comes in, drops off their people, then what? And the response was, well, tell them to go someplace and hang out until they gotta come back to pick their people up. So the charter buses were kind of left up to their own devices to kill some time. Given the volume of buses that we're now expecting, and the NFL then told us today that typically the buses come and park someplace because otherwise people getting back on that bus at the end of the event don't know where to look for it. So now we are looking over on Lombardi Avenue in that generalized area to find a place to park 152 buses.
Oh, my goodness.
So that was today's assignment, so we hope to have that reconciled by next week. So there's going to be a lot of information coming out, and one of the things that I volunteered on behalf of the local group, they have 4 zones set up for lawn parking. And Discover Green Bay, the CVB, has a map showing the rough boundaries of where these zones are. But to somebody who's not from Green Bay, and even a lot of people who are, how do you get to that zone given the streets that are going to be closed? So we are actually going to draft language to say, to get to the north zone, coming from north of Green Bay on US 41 or I-41, coming from Sturgeon Bay on 54, 57, coming from the south on I-41 and coming from the south on I-43, here's how you get into the north zone. And we will do that for all 4 of the parking zones, providing residents or those attending the draft with the ability to pre-plan that. And we're going to generate some additional GIS-based graphics for that. That'll get shipped over to Discover Green Bay, live on their website, and ultimately tie back into the NFL OnePass app. So we're actually drafting that language in-house to be used by everybody who will be attending the draft. So that's going to be our focus over the next 2 weeks, just to get some of that done. With that, be looking for regular media outreach. We're going to start a series of media releases, news releases, press releases, and social media blasts to supplement that, to try to get the word out on things to expect during the draft. Some of the questions started coming in from people in the stadium district about garbage collection. How are you going to collect garbage during the draft? So that's one of the first ones that I just checked off on the copy that will be going out. But we are going to be changing garbage collection that week. So we're going to be swapping Monday routes with Thursday routes and Tuesday routes with Friday routes. So if you're a normal Thursday route, you'll actually get your garbage picked up on Monday instead. That'll keep our trucks, because Thursday is the stadium district, Friday is downtown. Obviously, I don't want the garbage trucks running in where there's high concentrations of people and with cars parked in. If they go down Shadow Lane on Thursday morning and it's parked solid with cars, we can't reach out and grab the cars. It's not going to do us any good. So we're going to swap that up. One of the things that we are thinking about, or I have my staff working on a plan for, is we're also going to go back through essentially what we're referring to as ground zero. So ground zero is essentially 9th down to Lombardi, Military, to Ashland, and probably we're going to include the John Muir neighborhood as well, because we think John Muir is going to get parked in pretty hard. Those areas being the primary focus of parking north of the stadium that are under our jurisdiction, there's a high potential for litter or cans or things to be out there, and obviously we don't want that to reflect badly on the city. So we're making a plan to go through to do potentially some garbage picking and definitely street sweeping. We want to get that stuff picked up before it hits the storm sewer. Nightly, both Thursday night and Friday night during draft activities. Again, we'll come back during the week. One of the things I wrestled with is what if you've got somebody who's parking folks on their lawn and they're being a gracious host and allowing people to tailgate there and they generate excessive garbage. If folks put garbage bags out, we'll pick them up, but it's going to be an early set-out charge, which I think ESOs are $38. So we don't want the garbage bag to sit there. We don't want somebody walking down the sidewalk on Friday to kick it open or spill it all over the neighborhood. So we probably will pick it up during our patrols that night, but there will be ESO charges associated with that. You wrestle with it because we want to be able to provide the service and we want the city to be clean, but we can't give preferential service because twice weekly garbage collection in one area and not everywhere else in the city. So that's kind of where we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. But staff is working on some plans to increase patrols in that area to make sure that we're keeping it clean and sanitary for everyone.
Do you mind if I?
Yeah, I do.
You do mind? No, well, I know you and I talked, and as far as the parking, it's not, there's not gonna be any on-street parking overnight. And I
Correct.
put that out on social media after we talked, but,
Yeah, the 3 to
that's
5
okay.
AM parking ban is gonna remain in place, and the reason for that is because if I've gotta get my staff in there overnight to do garbage collection, litter patrol pickup, and especially the street sweeping. Street sweeping, we need to get the gutters cleaned first and foremost, and that's where the cars are parked, is on the, up against the curb head. So I need to be able to get my street sweepers up against the curb, so we are gonna keep the 3 to 5 AM parking ban in place.
and then, I just thought of something, when you were saying you're looking for the buses where to put someplace. And I don't know if it's big enough, but Pilgrim Lutheran Church, their parking lot possibly? I know that's gonna be the Uber, Lyft.
Too small to get, too small for the charter buses and too hard to get to.
Okay,
Yeah, we did look at that.
just a thought.
Any questions? Thanks.
You're welcome.
Motion to receive and place on file?
Motion to receive and place on file. Alder Rex, second by Alder Billy. Any questions on that? No? Those in favor?
Aye.
And our next meeting is April 9th. Everything we discussed tonight goes to council next week, Tuesday.
Yes.
No public hearings.
Nope.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Second.
adjourn. Alder Rex, second by Alder Billy. Those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. We are adjourned.
And Steve, I do want to